Today we're going to look at one powerful way in which you can enhance your mental health. Hi everyone, I'm Sonam Mahajan, a certified mindfulness teacher and life coach. Welcome to Yellow Door Talks, Wisdom for the Human Life. If this content is useful for you, please do subscribe by clicking to the subscribe button below, and don't forget to click on the bell icon that will notify you for when our videos go out. Now, I'm going to talk about this topic today because in the last few years of coaching with people and in the workshops that I run, this seems to come up as a challenge several times for several people. And I completely do empathize because it is something that I myself worked through. But having said that, this may or may not resonate for you and be applicable to your life or the life stage that you're in. So completely discard it if it doesn't resonate, but I'm going to address this for the sake of those who do go through this struggle. Now, this challenge is the image we have in mind, is the perception we have in mind of someone who is happy, of someone who is in good mental health. This has a lot to do with the information that comes into our mind space by way of, say, daily motivational quotations. These could be self-help messages from friends, family, well-wishers that we consume through WhatsApp, social media, and all of that. Now, the problem is not in these quotations or messages. The problem number one is our limited understanding of what these quotations and messages mean. And number two, the awareness of what this limited understanding does and how that plays out in our life. Let me explain how this becomes a problem. Now, have a look at these quotations and messages from authors and spiritual teachers. These might seem familiar to you. Now, take the next 15 seconds to read through these. Now, all of these messages are deep, inspiring, motivating, and I would agree with them 200%. However, what we can tend to forget is that these seemingly straightforward, simple messages are very deep. I mean, this could take potentially and likely years of internal work for us to gain even a below average understanding of what they're trying to say. It takes time to penetrate to the depths of what they're trying to communicate to us. And not to say that this can't be useful to us in its raw form or in its form, as we understand it today. But if we are misinterpreting these messages, it's only going to add to clutter and confusion in our mind space, and it's going to do more bad for us than good for our mental health. Let me demonstrate this to you through an example. Now, here we have Dave. He's a father, son, plays a leadership role in his company. He's delivering to various personal and professional targets. He's part of various fitness groups, being a triathlete, and overall he's a high achiever, holds himself responsible and accountable for his life. He has a largely positive mindset and outlook to life, and is also very driven in realizing the full potential of his life. Dave is facing a lot of pressure and challenges from all sides of his life at the moment and is feeling quite low overall. So he decides to go and share this with a few friends and family, and let's see what happens. Now, the first person Dave meets tells him, if you look for the positive things in life, you will find them. So Dave walks off from there thinking, I'm unhappy because I'm not able to find the positive stuff in life. The second person Dave meets tells him, happiness is a choice. Now Dave walks off from there thinking, I'm unhappy because I'm choosing to be. The third person Dave meets tells him that joy is a natural phenomena and misery is your creation. Now Dave walks off from here thinking, I'm unhappy because I'm incapable of allowing even the most natural thing to unfold in my life. The fourth person Dave meets tells him that strength is happiness. Strength is itself victory, and in weakness and cowardice there is no happiness. Dave walks off from there thinking, I'm unhappy because I'm not being strong. And so on, as he goes ahead and meets more people, the more he feels that he is unhappy because he is unable to deal with problems. He is unhappy because he is unable to see the good stuff in life. That he is unhappy because the quality of his thoughts is not good. Or perhaps he is unhappy because he just isn't choosing the right things to do in life. Now, Dave, being a high achiever and someone who takes full accountability and responsibility for how his life is turning out, he is feeling pretty crappy about his life at this point. He feels like he's not doing enough, he's upset, he's judging himself, and he's lost and exhausted with this whole process. Now, as I said, not everybody goes through this, but if you have gone through this or are going through this, let's explore how we can overcome this. Now, I am all for the process of working through stuff and personal growth, and I shared this in my video last week as well. You can find it here. We need to be careful that in being positive all the time, in being the master of our reality, in making anything possible, we are not blindsided, we are not rejecting or forcing our life to be the way we want it to be. Now, I realized this deeply when I became a parent because I lost control of a certain part of my life. Now, designing my reality my way, of course, became a struggle, but with my limited understanding that my life is in my utmost control and that I can bend my reality my way, I still tried and I still strive towards creating, the life that I wanted, but it didn't work and it backfired. So trying to be happy, positive, at the top of my game all the time while being in lack of sleep, lack of energy, raising two under two, it just didn't seem realistic for me at all. And I had to find another way. So here's what I experimented with. I redefined my perception, my image of happiness to equanimity, to a sense of equilibrium. I completely released myself of the burden of doing the following. Number one, trying to be positive all the time. Positive emotions, positive thoughts, smiling, trying to be upbeat, released myself of all of that. Trying to not feel sadness, trying to shut out any anxious or fearful thoughts that came up. Not dismissing any discomfort that came my way due to the uncertainty that surrounded me. And overall, just not forcing myself to think a certain way, to be a certain way, to feel a certain way. In summary, I started to recognize the actuality of my life, and I didn't have to like it, but I just started becoming more real with the challenges that existed in my life and the fact that certain things were just out of my control. It made me realize that how misinterpretation of messages can really sometimes lead to denial and in us being able to see our life clearly. Simply put, my picture of happiness involved me accepting everything in my life the way it was playing out. I fundamentally realized that a positive mind can be a turbulent mind, and what I needed was a quiet mind. Now, this is extremely important. What do we mean when we say acceptance? It does not mean passive resignation, surrender, or defeat. It does not mean that at all. It is the receiving, the recognizing, acknowledging, and just being aware of life as it is, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And after that, using that to act wisely, to take the steps to actually work through it. It doesn't mean dwelling on it, thinking about it, internalizing it, and then playing up the stories and narratives in our head about it. It doesn't mean that at all. Acceptance means noticing the experience that you're having as any other human experience unfolding in your life. Now, the big question of how does the acceptance of all experience in life help with our mental well-being? Now, acceptance helps us in various ways. Healing happens as we acknowledge our life in the manner that it is unfolding. And because we're acknowledging all experience to be a human experience, we're not constantly judging ourselves for having a good experience or a bad experience. It's just life unfolding. And because we're acknowledging and noticing any kind of, say, discomfort or pain, we're not attaching ourselves to it or becoming it or identifying deeply with that pain. And very importantly, as we accept life the way it is, it's placing us in a far better position to respond to life wisely as opposed to being in an impulsive, reactionary mode to situations in our life. And as we start to accept things in our life, we have this sense of wholeness, a sense that we are enough and we have always been enough. And that induces a sense of gratitude for the smallest things in life. And as John Kabat-Zinn said, as long as you are breathing, there's more right with you than wrong with you. And I don't think I can express in words the joy and gratitude that I feel in practicing this. Because as I practice, I feel like I'm honoring the human being in me and everything that it means to be human. And it's so innate to us as species to think, to emote, to feel. How then can any form of that be bad or good for that matter? It's just what it is. And as a result of this process of acceptance, we experience happiness just in the way that is described in those motivational messages and quotations. But it doesn't come through force, ignorance, and avoidance of the reality of life. Mental health isn't the absence of fear, it's working through the fear. It isn't our resistance to acknowledging our reality, but rather working through it. It isn't about avoiding conflict, but being authentic with ourselves. And I'll end with saying this again. A positive mind can be a turbulent mind, and sometimes what we really need is a quiet mind. Now, I've recorded a puppet show called Feel the Feeling, and it's relevant to what we spoke of today. So if you have the time, check it out here. So that was all for today. Hope this was useful. Please share with me your feedback in the comment section below. And of course, like, share, subscribe if this was useful for you. Stay well, be well, and I'll see you soon.